Hello. How we doing? How we doing? I'm happy to see you. Can you hear me? Man, it's good to be with you. Good, I think you can. Hi. Hi, Jen. Happy New Year. Hi, Hap. Happy New Year. Hello. Indigo Mad, how you doing? Love Space Infinite, Happy New Year. Happy to see you. Christine, Happy New Year. We have a great day. We have a great afternoon planned today. Loud and clear. Thank you so much. Hi from Romania. Matthias says hello to Romania. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. We're going to do some questions. We're going to do some callers. We're going to do some videos. Perhaps, maybe so. We're going to have a good time. Let's get started. Let's start with our first caller and see if we can get to the bottom of what she's feeling. We're talking estrangement today. If you have some questions about estrangement, you can just pop them in the chat. Family estrangement, or you can go to speakpipe.com/Matthias. It's in the description if you're on YouTube. If you're on Instagram, it's in the link in bio. You can just kind of record a voice message, send it my way, and we might play it here live. Let's dive in.
This is so great. Thank you. I have my oldest child, put it really, really quick. She was from preschool in trouble, elementary school. Like, I was pulled into the principal's office often. So got into like a lot of trouble all the time. So I was always rescuing, always being there. Then as she aged, she went and moved to Colorado, and I live in Arizona. And from that move, like 2 years ago, she all of a sudden cut me off and said it was because I was a liar and a thief, which I never lie. So I know it wasn't about me. And the thief part is, it wasn't even the truth. It was, yeah, I borrowed $200 and replaced it in 2 weeks later. And that's the reason why she cut me off. And then now she.
Hold on. Was the borrowing consensual? Did she agree to give you the $200, or did you take it and then quickly return it? Because even if you returned it, that's a violation of trust, right? I mean, okay, let's keep going.
She goes to holidays to her dad's, and the whole thing is from when she was 16, actually, no, from once we got divorced, the dad became very abusive to her. So then I did everything possible to fight for her and to get full custody. And by the time that she was 17, I got full custody. So then I had her junior year and her senior year as a single parent. It was so freaking hard. And then, yeah, so then she cuts me off when she was.
Hold on, I'm sorry to distract. There's a wasp in my office. I'm gonna get it. Hold on. There's a wasp. We need jams. Nope, something more mysterious. Nope. That's it, that's the vibe. Okay. There's a wasp. Got it? Here comes the moment. Ah! Nope. Didn't get it. Got it. Okay. Do I open the wasp live? That's right. It goes, we should probably help the good people who submitted questions. I'm just gonna leave this wasp right here, and I'm gonna open it randomly at some point during the live, and we're just gonna see what happens. New year, new adrenaline rush. Okay, sorry. Let's back up just a little bit and keep listening.
Actually, no, from once we got divorced, the dad became very abusive to her. So then I did everything possible to fight for her and to get full custody. And by the time that she was 17, I got full custody. So then I had her her junior year and her senior year as a single parent. It was so freaking hard. And then, yeah, so then she cuts me off when she was 22 and made up lies that that's what I was doing. And then now she's visiting her dad for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. She's spending all this time with him. And it's baffling because I was rescuing her from him. And he was awful. He still is just not a nice person. Very narcissistic, but I know we can't really label it. But my daughter is also showing lots of those signs. So, but I know so she also has compassion too, because I've seen it that she throws her anger at me and then can quickly turn and put on a face for everybody else. So it's very wild. Because I know you're doing all these parts about children leaving their parents, and this one is very weird. So thank you. Thank you
All
for
right.
listening.
A lot of pieces to that. What do you make of it in the chat? If you tuned in kind of halfway through it, it sounds like maybe like 10,000 feet up, we have a relationship where there was a lot of effort, it was strenuous, it was painful, but there was a lot of commitment from mother to daughter. Painful divorce, daughter has sided with dad. Even though dad was abusive, even though dad was unhealthy. She's like, why does dad get a free pass in the relationship? And I'm estranged. Happens a lot, you know? Maybe not statistically, you know, when you look at the statistics generally, there's a surprise in there. If you tuned in late, there's a surprise inside of this package that I'll open later. Statistically, most people are estranged from their fathers. So when you look at just like population samples, you have about a fourth of people who have been estranged from a parent. And then of that 25, 26%, the vast majority of that is people estranged from their fathers. Okay. So then you have about 6% of people who are estranged from their mothers. But there's a subset of people that you hear stories of very frequently because it's such a distressing circumstance where it's like, hey, dad was unhealthy. Maybe he had an addiction. Maybe he was violent. There was some sort of terrible behavior. I split up from dad. I tried to fight for custody of the kid. I tried to make sure the kid was okay. I sacrificed everything so that kiddo could have a good life. And then later on in adulthood, kiddo cuts off me, but then has a relationship with dad. And what do we make of that? Is it is there brainwashing, gaslighting, deception on dad's part? Is it that, you know, the hardworking mother just gets punished for no good reason? And it's so distressing. And I think there is an answer to that. There is a reason, but it's not a reason that feels good. I know what the reason is in the sense that I've heard kids talk about it. I can tell you what they say. Often, it's not... Let me back this up. It's often not that dad is better than mom, or dad sacrificed the same or more, or is in any way better. It's that dad is easier. Mom might feel overwhelmed, anxious a lot of the time. Dad is compartmentalized. It's kind of chill. Mom is intrusive, asks lots of questions, suggestions, gives lots of unsolicited advice, wants to be involved in everything. Dad's pretty hands-off, you know. Dad's just happy to be there. He's happy to stay surface. Mom is complex territory. Dad's pretty predictable. Even if he's unhealthy, he's predictable. I know that when he starts to get in a mood, when he starts to have too many drinks, I need to get my distance. I can leave. And so it's less like there's a moral designation that dad's better than mom. It's more dad's simpler territory to navigate. Mom has more, in some ways, because there's more connection, because there's more sacrifice, because there's more history, it just means the territory is more complicated. And so then, ironically, dad gets more FaceTime with the kids, with the grandkids. It's not the most common circumstance, but it's common enough. common enough to talk about. I mean, the big irony in it, of course, is that like the reason mom is so hypervigilant, the reason mom is often so overly involved is because she had to fill the shoes of two parents, right? I mean, that's like the obvious elephant in the room. It's like he wasn't there. So I had to be mom and dad. I had to fill all the needs, often with very little help or support. So I had to do everything. I was like, I had to be superwoman and provide and make sure you're okay and take care of my own needs. And I did it. You know, like I showed up to the principal's office. I showed up to this. I showed up to that. I did the work of two people. Superhuman accomplishment. And then for that, the gratitude I get is that you push me away. It just feels so ungrateful. Doesn't do it justice. Spiteful, malicious, some intense word like that. It feels overwhelming. But on the other side of it, because there's another piece of it here, because you could say to the mom, it's like, well, what should mom do? Like, how does mom have a conversation with daughter? And the advice stings, I think, just as much as that narrative, as the story, because the advice is that, and I've seen this work, is that you need to take responsibility for your part and how your relationship with your daughter or son has become unhealthy. You need to apologize for the ways that you led with your fear. It's understandable that you were feeling fear. I mean, obviously, it's so understandable that you were completely overwhelmed. You were doing everything you can with no resources. The bill was so high, like it was so high that no one should be able to do well. It's like it was an unrealistic expectation. It was a burden that no one could carry. And in that circumstance, there might have been ways. Not that you just didn't fulfill their needs enough. That's like the fear for the mom. It's like, well, I didn't do enough. And it's like, well, hold on. There's violations of not doing enough, sure, but then there's violations of doing too much. But it's not, and I think I talk to mothers who get stuck here. It's like, what, I loved too much? I cared too much? No. It's actually, you took so much of the burden at the wrong, how do I say this? How do I say it? You didn't trust them. There was moments they needed to stretch their wings and fly, and you kept them in the nest. Because you cared about them, because it's a dangerous world out there. I get it. You had to pull day shift and night shift. Not fair. But often the wounds when it comes to, let's say, the overly involved mother is a mom who led with her fear and her worry rather than giving space to let their kids experiment and try and fail and hurt. And when they needed their mom's nervous system and regulation, they often got their mom's anxiety. And that's the hurtful bit. And that's actually the boundary in the relationship. And again, that stings, and it's one of those things that's like, you throw up your hands, you're like, great, like, too much. Like, I felt like the whole time I felt like I wasn't enough, and now I learned I was too much. Like, I guess I just failed, and you have an opportunity to spiral in shame and hopelessness there. You can. But I encourage you not to, because there's still a relationship here that you can have with them if you're willing to be humble and to apologize for your part. You can't apologize for not playing the role of two people. I'm not telling you to grovel. I'm not telling you to admit to things that aren't true. I'm not saying that you should have been superhuman and you weren't and you should apologize. None of that. I'm saying there's just very human, concrete things that perhaps happened in their childhood where you made errors and you just need to acknowledge it. I know that you desire to be seen for how hard it was and your limitations and the circumstances were overwhelming. The reality of it when it comes to adult kids and parents is often the kid needs to be seen first. The kid's needs need to be seen before the parent's limitations and constraints will be seen. So it's not that you need to swallow your experience and pretend like everything is fine. It's a matter of pacing. Someone needs to go first. And when you're the parent, the apology comes from you first in this kind of circumstance. It's not fair. I'm not saying, and none of this is fair. I'm not saying this, the kid's responding correctly or dad, none of this is fair. I'm talking about pragmatically, here's what you do, because I care enough about you to just tell you what to do next. I'm not calling you out. I'm calling you into clarity. I'm giving you a path, because I could just tell you your kid is this ungrateful, narcissistic, yada, yada, yada. I could, and you'd feel validated. But is that going to help? Is that going to help the relationship? No. It's just going to make you more resolute that you're right and she's wrong. So, what helps? You own your part. That's what helps. Not fair. Correct. And your daughter might have genuinely gone through some hard things and some pain. And the stress that you were holding, some of that you passed on to her. And it's okay to apologize for that. All right. Ouch. How are we doing in the chat? Let's go over to the chat. Let's see what you guys are thinking. YouTube, what's up? Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on. Let me change my scene. Here. Wow. What's going on, YouTube? Oh, someone's not being nice. Someone's not being nice in the chat. That's okay. Someone's being rude in the chat. You can be rude in the chat, that's fine. Okay. That look fine? Alright, we're back. I didn't even fully read the comments yet. Okay, Melodrama Boy thinks I'm fruity. Great. Feel sorry for your husband. Okay, alright, so we got some gay jokes. Remove. See ya. Wait, did I just remove the comment or did I remove the person? What do I do? I could add them as moderator. Wouldn't that be chaotic? Should I? Should I open this? Sometimes in the new year, you just gotta feel something, you know? Should I pin it? No. How do I hide user on this channel? That's probably it. All right. Sorry. Sometimes you just want to see something happen, feel something. All right, Mellow Boy, he gone. New to this channel. Yeah, I'll take some questions here in a minute, Fallout Pro Hunter. I'd be happy to answer your question. Give me just a second. Any questions on what I just said? Melodrama himself is gay, if gay. Melodrama himself, if gay. All right, I'm getting off YouTube. What are we doing here? Melodrama can be gay. I'm okay with that. We're all okay with that. All right. Hi, Instagram. How we doing? I'm just correcting these scenes so that everyone can see the chat. The all-powerful chat. And then I'll respond. All right, so what'd you think of that dialogue when it comes to mothers and the like? Let's read. What do I look? I'm gonna go back a little bit. The internet kicked me from TikTok again. What? Did I get kicked from TikTok? No! Yeah, it said unable to connect. I'll try to reconnect again. Thanks for the heads up. Let's have some music while I read through these, because dead air is a drag. Yeah, so the kid needs to be seen first before the parents' limitations can be seen. So powerful. Yeah, I mean, I think that is the case. It's like, and I'm not saying that's fair. I'm just saying I think that pragmatically. Oh. We almost had an escape. I saw him crawling out. For those of you who just got here, there's something very dangerous inside of this collection of plates that I got earlier in the episode, and I'm just gonna set it over here. The danger, you know, keeps me sharp. Okay. The adult kids still have a relationship with him. What do I apologize for? Well, I mean, I think there's two things that you can apologize for. There's the violations in the relationship, the things you did wrong, but then also the things that we wish we did differently, as in, like, things we wish we did right. As in, like, sometimes there's like, oh, okay, there's moments I yelled. There's moments I lost my temper. But then there's also moments where maybe my ex, you know, lost his temper, and I should have gone and checked on him. I should have, like, made sure he was okay, but I just tried to avoid the situation and just keep things calm instead of maybe calling out the situation and trying to make sure everyone was all right. And so it's like, maybe it's those moments, maybe it's those kinds of comments. The apologies are not just around, here's like these specific things that I really did that were terrible. It's also, here's the areas where I think I was quiet, or I avoided, or I just tried to smooth past it, but I should have engaged it more. I think that is often the content that leads to the most meaningful conversations when it comes to parents and adult kids. How many times is an apology necessary? You know, the apology is, I think, 10% of it. Saying the words, I'm sorry, I mean, it should be included. That's fine. But the thing that actually makes an apology heal is asking the question, what was it like for you when you were going through the hard stuff? When this event happened, when this thing happened, when the betrayal happened, what was it like? And I feel like people won't let it go. People won't move on until they feel like, oh, they get it. They get what it was like. They get the impact. Until there's an emotional resonance with the impact, they won't drop it. So you can say, oh, what? I'm sorry. Can we just move on? Like, okay, I admit it. I was wrong. How many times do I have to say this? But that's just not going to move the needle, because that's not what does anything. You know? It's, that's just the truth, unfortunately. We're talking about repair, not just saying I'm sorry. You know. So someone asks, if I own it and apologize, you know, does that make my daughter think about her part too? I think what it does is it sends an invitation. We can't control other people's behavior. You know, you can't control your parents' behavior. You can't control your kids' behavior. It's like, I mean, I wish there was like a secret formula that I could give you of perfect things to say that would make your parent acknowledge this or that, or make your kid understand this or that. It's like, we don't have that. But then you can't go the opposite direction and be like, well, I guess nothing I do matters. Obviously, wisdom would tell us that there's something in the middle. And what's in the middle is that you can extend invitations. And when you really come to an acknowledgement of your part, taking responsibility for the facts, not for the label and the narrative and all the exaggerations, but for the facts of the circumstance, you emotionally resonate with their experience, what it was like to be them. That's when those apologies start to really, I think, create the inroads for repair. And when you repair, when there's release, when there's that relief of like, oh, mom gets it, then from that vantage point, I can reevaluate, well, what was their experience like? And what was that like for them? So yeah, pacing. It's not a guarantee that it makes the daughter think about her part, but it has to happen first. Like the acknowledgement and the release and the healing has to happen first. I hope that makes sense. All right, let's get to the bottom here. Yeah, extending invitation. I really think that's it. I think that like people don't come to parties they don't get invitations to, but you can't make someone come to the party. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. That's awful. It makes sense. I mean, I think it makes sense that why you would be estranged or why you wouldn't be in contact. In my mind, healing from something like that would be your brother apologizing. And then you might, in turn, try to take responsibility for the pieces that you added to that debacle. Obviously, there's nothing you did that made him become violent with you. We can't make someone become violent with us. But there's things that we contribute to the unhealth of a conversation that we can always take responsibility. I just think like the more you can take responsibility for the facts, we don't exaggerate, we don't take exaggeration for false labels and hyperbole and sorry I made you get angry. No, it's not that. It's like, hey, when I was defending my wife. So the commenter, said, hey, I was trying to defend my wife in an argument. My brother got mad, he got violent, went to prison for 2 years for assault. And what do we do with the relationship? It's like an invitation that you could extend is like, hey, thinking back on that, I called you some labels, I called you some names, and I could have defended my wife without going there. I could have defended my wife, set a boundary, whatever, without calling you names. And I'm sorry. When you come to someone with that kind of humility, that kind of like adult openness to like accept your part, which is, I think, such an expression of maturity and groundedness and confidence. It's kind of disorienting. People will be like, what? Whoa. Like, whoa. And then where they were expecting to have to defend themselves and argue with you, they actually relax. They're like, oh. And then again, it extends an invitation for them to own maybe some of their part. So it just kind of depends how much you want the relationship to be reinstated. If it's been 2 years you haven't talked to your brother and things ended really awfully on a restraining order and an assault charge, it's like, hey, if you desire a relationship with your brother, starting with taking responsibility for your part seems like the most backwards thing ever to do. Like, it sounds ridiculous. It's like, obviously, he should apologize to me. Like, not only did he assault my wife, he assaulted me, or insulted my wife, then assaulted me. It's like, and the reality is like, yeah, you're right. You don't have to do what I'm saying. You don't have to try to own your part and come and say anything. You can just keep your distance. You're good with that. There's no shoulds here. I'm just talking pragmatically, like strategically. If it was your desire to reinstate the relationship, I don't know if it is, maybe not. That's how you do it. So that's not fair. Why not? Why is you taking responsibility for your part not fair? Well, he should take responsibility for his first. Why? Well, because his part's bigger. Maybe. I mean, he would have to take responsibility for his part in order for you to be reconnected in relationship. Yeah. We couldn't just like glide past that and not address that before reinstating relationship. We'd have to lay down some boundaries, ground rules, maybe some amends, Like, yeah. But as far as like, well, that means I shouldn't go first. It's like, flip a coin. Who wrote that rule, If you desire your brother to be back in your life and for you to repair that relationship, it's okay to go first. You don't have to think that that's like you not respecting yourself or you not standing up. I don't know, like that's, if you were to lie and take the whole thing on yourself and then take responsibility for things that aren't true, like I made you mad, it was my fault, I shouldn't have, but like then that's a little bit like squirmy. It's like, don't do that. Does that make sense? All right. Yeah, talking about repair, not just saying sorry. That's what's up. Okay, is YouTube less hostile? Let's look over at YouTube. Hey, YouTube. If you weren't here earlier, YouTube had some trolls. A spider? Okay, so people are guessing what's inside this. Nope, it's not a spider. If you were here at the very beginning of the episode, I found a dangerous creature in my office, and I scooped it up and put it within these plates. And then I said I would open the plates by the end of the episode and let whatever dangerous creature out to wreak havoc. So I'm keeping my caged prisoner right there. It's not a spider. Yeah, acknowledge the impact. This is a cool question. Hold on, let me read. Oh, too much of a vibe. Let's do this. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Both these questions are great, Echo Star. I'll answer both of them. Okay. Echo Star asks, what information or patterns matter when deciding between low contact versus no contact? How do you help clients distinguish between fear-based avoidance and protective boundaries? Cool. I'm all about it because those are just like right at the heart of the matter, aren't they? Okay, let's talk first about what information or patterns matter when deciding between low contact and no contact. I worked a lot with teenagers and young kids with severe trauma in the foster care world. It is a trauma being taken away from your parents, living temporarily in another home, and then being reunited. I mean, most foster circumstances are you're reunited with the parents, and so it's just hard. The whole thing's hard, and I remember going to my supervisor and being like, okay, how do we heal this trauma? How do we heal the trauma of the rupture, the overwhelm of being in a new place and then being back together, but then having all these therapists and parole officers, and I just remember my supervisor giving me just a good lesson, wisdom that would come to inform my work, in those circumstances for years to come. And it was like, Matthias, you don't heal trauma when it's happening. It's still happening. You make sure that, I worked a lot with young boys, so it was like the young boys in the foster system, you make sure they don't feel alone. You make sure they feel cared for and they have a place to process and to talk about what's happening as it's going along. But even that talking, even the processing, like when you look at 9/11 studies, for example, and you look at the people who went to counseling like right after, it's not obvious that made stuff better. Like talking about the negative event over and over, like right after something happens, it actually could flip you into higher likelihood for PTSD and make the symptoms worse. It's like you got wet cement and you keep kind of messing around with the wet cement, and then if you do more damage, if you kind of stir things up, like you're going to get a more wonky sidewalk, right? So it's like, well, okay, do you ignore it? No. But you talk about the meaning of it. And so like as it's happening, you're pulling in what's called resources. You're pulling in like you're widening the story, so it's not just, whoa, I got taken away from my mom. The story isn't, for a foster kid that maybe, let's say mom had a drug addiction, there was a temporary amount where the kid was taken away, and then mom went into care, rehab, and then got clean, and then kids being brought back into care. Like in a moment like that, the story is not just I got taken away from mom. The story's like I got taken away from mom. I was put in a place where I was safe. It was really hard, but I learned a lot while I was there. And maybe there's a spiritual element to it, like maybe God protected me. Maybe there's a friendship element, like maybe I met someone or I made a relationship, maybe in group counseling or something that really added positively. So I made a friend, I made a buddy, whatever. So there's like positive ingredients. This isn't just toxic positivity. This isn't just trying to find the silver lining. There's no world where the positive covers up the negative. It's just the positive gets to ride alongside the negative. And then you were like, yep, so I had a really hard time. But then in therapy, I got to talk about it. That made it feel better. My teachers, I was having a hard time, but my teachers worked with me so that I could still get good grades in school. And then I got to come home with mom. And we got to reunite, and then we went to the trampoline park, and that was really fun. And I'm so happy I'm safe with her. It's like making sure there's a complete arc. Like think about like physiological arousal, like traumatic arousal. There's the rise up, there's the hyper arousal, and then there's the regression down into calm and relaxation. It's like you need the full story arc. If you get locked in, I got taken away from mom, that could happen again at any moment. That means I need to manage mom and hypervigilantly worry that there's going to be a police officer at my door and he's going to take me away from my mom. That's like PTSD, right? You widen the story. So it's not just that you try to discount that story, it's you widen the story. So it's like, no, that's not the full arc. I was taken away. There was reasons for that. It ended up fine. I got reunited. We're okay. And I learned and gained something from the experience. In addition to the hardship of it, I also gained something. So post-traumatic growth, right? It's like, it's not that, it wasn't a good thing that it happened, but there was good things that happened alongside of the bad things. And I know that sounds a little bit, yada, 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 but it's imperative that you come away more resilient. You come away stronger. Like that's like while the cement is wet, that's what you need to make sure is being encoded. Full story. So it's almost like in the moment, you're not reprocessing, you're widening. You're widening the perspective and resource. And it's not like you're adding resources like I'm giving them a bunch of skills. There's already skills they have. There's already resources they have. You're just bringing to light. Like, look how incredible you are. Like, this had to be, and here's how you do it. You encourage them. You're like, this had to be so hard. I can't believe you went through this, but wow, look at you. You did that and you got that kind of like, you're still turning in your homework, even though that's been hard for you, and you've still done this, and like, wow, tell me about your room. Like, oh, you designed your room yourself. Like, oh, you made your bed. Like, oh, like a da-da-da-da-da. Like, you're incredible. So it's like, what you're doing is you're not just trying to like pump them up. You're like, look at all of your capacity and competency and your ability, your resilience in the face of this. I need to draw your attention to it because it's easy to see just everything that's wrong. And I need to see not what's going right necessarily, but how resilient you are in the face of everything that's wrong. Does that make sense? I'm going to, in small ways, just point out that, like, wow, you adapted. You adapted to a circumstance that was, like, impossible. Good on you. And that's different. That's a different activity than let's talk about the traumatic thing over and over and over, which what we know from study after study, including the 9/11 studies, like that was not helpful. But those meaning-making, story-expanding conversations, that's what's helpful when the trauma is happening. When the trauma is happening, you don't do EMDR. When the trauma is happening, you don't do those kinds of things. You expand the story. CPT does a really good job of that. That's you can look that up. It's a style of therapy. It's there's a lot more I could say, but I'll leave that there. What information matters? Wow, did I answer the question at all? What information or patterns matter when deciding between low contact and no contact? Yeah, I didn't answer the question at all. What was I talking about? I liked it. I liked whatever rant I went on. I thought that was cool. Did you see it? Scary. What What information or patterns matter most when deciding between low contact and no contact? This is why I brought it up. That's why I went on that tangent. Okay. I'm back. The reason you can't process the trauma while it's happening. So often what you need to do is you need some distance. So if you want to process, let's say, past memories with your mom and dad, you need to get some distance and some time. It doesn't have to be years. It can be months. But oftentimes, let's say you want to go through like a session of like EMDR, where you actually go through and you like process some hard stuff, like your dad being violent with you, your mom doing this, your mom doing that. It's advisable that you actually do get some distance, 3 to 6 months, where you're doing intentional EMDR, somatic experiencing, internal family systems, whatever. And so you need to do that with distance because you can't do it while the cement is wet. That's why I brought that up. If you're in the home, then it's like you're kind of getting re-triggered all the time it's like you're opening up a wound, you're making the cement wet again, and then people keep stepping in the wet cement. It's like you need to put some boundaries up, right? You put the cones around the wet cement so no one's walking in it while you soften the cement and reset it, right? So that's neurologically pretty close and analogous to what's happening. So yeah, there should be some distance, whether that's emotional or intentional, that while you resoften and then reharden the cement, which is what reprocessing is. So I think that time during reprocessing makes a lot of sense. Like I said, 3 to 6 months is pretty sufficient for most people. There's obviously circumstances where it's worse, and that might need to take more time. But 8 sessions of EMDR often is very efficacious. 1 or 2 sessions of things like Flash, a lot of kind of the EMDR 2.0, the more faster versions that have come out of the EMDR world can be really helpful. You can lower symptoms 50-60%, pretty drastically when it comes to larger looming events, not necessarily the complex small events, but somatic experiencing is great. IFS can take longer, not just 8 sessions, but yeah, okay, so there's options there. As far as like low contact, I think low contact can work if you're able to kind of do that work while maintaining some contact, and it's not like they're trying to kind of break down your door. Like there's emotional barriers there that allow you to feel safe as you're doing that contact. It's not being re-triggered all the time. Okay, good, fine. Also, if the low contact is like the real issue in the relationship isn't some big traumatic thing from the past, the big issue in the relationship is some like dysfunctional behavior. If it's like they're really negative, they criticize me all the time, they make me mad. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. You can have low contact and you can work out pragmatically what to do about the relationship with your therapist. Like that has a lot more to do with problem solving than reprocessing, so it's not necessarily like you need zero contact while you're figuring that out. It depends on the circumstance, but those are the things that I'm thinking about when deciding, like, okay, what happened? Hello. When deciding, do I go low contact to no contact? Those are the variables I'm thinking about. Second question, how do you help clients distinguish between fear-based avoidance and protective boundaries? I mean, avoidance has no intent behind it. Like, avoidance is compulsory or impulse. Like, avoidance... there's a part of me, I have to think about this more. I don't know, I'm thinking out loud with you. But like avoidance is fear-based, right? It's protective. But we have protective impulses for a reason. So it's not like when we say, oh, it's protective, it's fear-based, that means it's necessarily bad or we shouldn't do it. Like we have fear responses for a reason, to protect us from harm. So if we're avoiding harm, that's adaptive. That's a good thing, So, but if it's like we're avoiding it when there's probably a more mature way to handle it, where someone's being disadvantaged or there's some sort of unhealthy dimension to the avoidance, that's where we start to question it. It's like the avoidance, because let's say, okay, I'm gonna avoid my mom. She's really negative. She's overwhelming. I'm just gonna like cut her off. Is that like unhealthy avoidance, or is that like good and healthy protective boundaries? And I'm like, well, hold on. How's that avoidance showing up in your life? Because if you're just avoiding it, and then you're drinking a bunch, and then you're still kind of losing your temper with your kids, and then you still kind of have like a marriage where your partner doesn't feel super valued, and you're just like There's all this mess in your life that's related to your mom, and you don't want to deal with that. You don't want to heal the stuff underneath. So you're just like, avoid mom, avoid all this negative stuff that's connected to mom. That's like dysfunctional avoidance, right? And then we should probably reprocess that, heal that, so then you can assess from a mature point of view, what is the relationship with mom that makes the most sense. In my mind, it usually works out to where you heal the past stuff in therapy individually, and then you decide on the relationship in front of you with mom or dad based off the current day behavior. And if the current day behavior is something that is going to limit trust, where we can have this very narrow surface relationship, then you decide, okay, do I want a surface relationship? I think that's fine for most people. I don't think there's anything wrong with a surface relationship. I think people resist that option because it's like, well, it doesn't feel authentic. But I'm like, well, no. Like, you can be very authentic within this limited scope. You can talk about sports, with your dad, and you can be fully honest, fully authentic within that conversation, within that scope of conversation. So you're not lying, you're not people pleasing, you're not avoiding within the sporty conversation, So it's like, I don't think it's inauthentic. I think we have a desire for more. That's fine to have that desire, but to moralize it and to think that, like, well, limited scope relationship, that's bad. I think all relationships are limited. Like, all relationships have a limited scope. You don't fully experience every dimension of your personality and self with every person that you have a relationship with. There's conversations I don't bring up with my barista, Conversations I don't bring up with certain friends. Conversations I only have with my wife. Like, there's concentric circles of relationship closeness, and within those circles, you're authentic within the scope of the relationship. Does that make sense? So it might be that the parent has moved out to a farther circle, and that's appropriate if the current day behavior is immature and they're not open to changing. Tons of unsolicited advice. I've told you several times not to interject, and you won't listen. It's like, okay, well, we're going to take a step back. So that's not immature. That's not avoidance. That's just boundaries, Okay, good. Any follow-up? What do you think? This is good. Earlier, what? Hold on. Why? Stop. Okay. By the way, I should mention, I always forget to talk about this. We have Estrangement.com open. I have a whole program for estrangement, walking through estrangement. It's a whole community of people who, both parents and kids, walking through the process of estrangement together. You can check it out at Estrangement.com. You can sign up for it. You can be a part of our group. It's lovely. We meet on calls. We do feedback sessions together where we get like live with somebody and we talk with them. You get to hear other people's experiences. You get to meet other people who get it, who get what it's like to be in these family, tumultuous, hard, difficult situations. It's really great. It's only for a couple more weeks, though. We're closing it up in a couple weeks. So if your New Year's resolution has anything to do with like, hey, I want to heal trauma, break cycles, I want to work on stuff with my family, man, come hang out. I have a full program where things are laid out really just kind of step by step. It's so practical and helpful and easy. I think once you have the tools and the wording and just some of the frameworks that not just I came up with, but the adult kids in our group came up with, or the parents came up with, like we have the lived experience of so many people within the group that you get to leverage and learn from. That's just awesome. So you should check that out. Estrangement.com. Good. Okay. Add over. What do you mean when you say acknowledge your part when attempting to rekindle no contact? I understand that some ways it's a two-way street, but some instances are not so clear. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's a two-way street in the sense that everything's always 50-50. I don't think that we take responsibility for stuff that we say or do as kids when we're like underdeveloped. We can't give full consent. We're just children, like there's no stuff there. But as adults, if there's any piece of it, even if it's 2%, that I contributed that was negative, it's helpful to take responsibility for that. because it'll just smooth out the conversation. That's just pragmatic. It's like, if there's anything here, I'm going to hope there is, because if there is, then sweet. Like, that's going to make this smoother and easier. It's going to build goodwill. I think people lean in when they feel like who they're talking to is willing to see their part and is humble. So I'm not trying to say, like, pretend like it's 50-50 or something. It very well may not be. It's just the ingredient of taking responsibility is almost always a good ingredient to add to repairing adult relationships. Like I said, there's differences when there's kids. Obviously, there's exceptions. Sometimes people are just malicious and hurt you, and you didn't do anything. And that obviously happens. All right, we're going to wrap up in a couple minutes. I'm going to open this. If you weren't around at the beginning, I found a creature in my office that is dangerous. And I trapped it in these plates. And I've been keeping it off to the side for the adrenaline to feel sharp. Being right next to the danger helps me think sharp. That's pretty fun. I'm going to open it at the end and just see what chaos ensues. Fun. Okay. TikTok went down again? Duh. It did, you're right. It's all right. Well, I'm happy you came over here. All right. Next. Let's look at another question. I like kind of doing the questions right now. What in the world? Anything over on IG? Hi, IG. How you doing? And then we'll close up here in a minute. I'll do a few more questions. Let me read. Humility's a hard one. Oh, yeah, for sure. Are you starting it up again soon? Estrangement.com. Yes, Estrangement.com is open right now. You can go and sign up now. It closes down in 2 weeks. It seems like there's a conversation happening in the chat. Let me see if I can follow it. Okay. Where does this start? Where does this conversation start? I need context. Oh. I'm not really able to find the context for that piece, so I'm going to move on. Let's do this one. All right, team. What do you advise about having a third-party facilitator when discussing healing and reconnection with adult children? Third-party facilitator, that's broad. A therapist? Yes, good. A pastor? Maybe, if there's shared religious values there. Another sibling, sending your sibling or your kid to try to talk to them so they can see your side. Don't do it. We have a word for that in the estrangement world. We call that flying monkeys. That's right. Call that flying monkeys. So, yeah, don't send a flying monkey. A flying monkey is a scary creature that does your bidding. And it stinks as an adult kid to be working through whatever argument you have with your parent, and then your uncle comes knocking on your door and is like, you know what, you should really lighten up. You should lighten up on your mom, go easy on her. She had it hard, she's trying her best over here. You're kind of being a pain on the family. And that's just, it feels like salt in the wound. So I've never seen it go well. I mean, we could talk about why it's right and wrong, but beyond even that, just pragmatically, it just doesn't work. I've just never seen it work. Don't do it. It almost always pushes away the kid because the kid feels teamed up on. The kid feels unrepresented. Like they're here's the tricky part of it too. Is like as the third party, let's say you're the uncle, you're the sibling. It's like you feel like you understand. Because you know the two people so intimately, it seems as if you have a good touch or a good pulse on what's going on. You know your niece, you know your sister, so it's like, I get it. And your niece resists your sister and cuts off, and it's like, oh, niece is in the wrong because I know what my sister meant. It's like you feel like you're a good judge and jury of the situation, but you're not because you weren't there. You weren't there for the relationship. You weren't there in the moments that the niece is taking issue with mom. You weren't there for the whole relationship to develop. You were on the outside. So you don't know the inner world of that relationship, even though you know both of them intimately. So you shouldn't be so confident that you know how to persuade or that you're like an unbiased, judge and jury. You have a piece of the information, even though you know them well, you don't know the situation well. So you should be humble and not think you do. Doesn't work well. The one exception that I think of is when you have no contact for your adult kid whatsoever. You don't have a phone number, an address, a mailing address, nothing, and you want to send like a reach out letter, or you want to notify them that someone's passed away, that you have health issues, there's something coming up, or you want to get in contact. And what you do is you can send Uncle Bob. Let's say Uncle Bob has contact with the niece here. You can send Uncle Bob to say just very plainly, your mother would like to send you a letter. Are you okay with that? That's it. So you're asking for consent. You're not telling Uncle Bob to try to convince her to let you send you a letter. Like, listen, like it's been a long time. She's been in therapy. She's been doing stuff. Like you really should hear her out. Don't do that. It's very plain and simple. It's probably just a text message of something like, hey, your mom wants to reach out. Maybe there's context there, wants to reach out. She's had some health issues lately. She wanted to send you a letter. Are you okay with that? And then maybe it's like, yes. And then the question is like, okay, do you want me to give contact information to her, or do you want me to pass it? Do you want me to pass it through so that your stuff can remain anonymous? That I've seen be positive if the uncle can keep his chill and not indulge the moment with all of his advice and opinions. So that's the only situation I've seen work. Outside of that, you got to give the space. I know it's ambiguous. I know it's like hell to be like, oh, when are we going to talk again? I've never been through something like this. I don't know when this is going to end. I don't know if we're ever going to talk again. It's easy to want to be like, well, I mean, let me do this, let me do that. And that meddling is going to make the timeline longer. So I have a whole format for how to write a letter to your adult kid that re-engages conversation. It's a template within estrangement.com that was designed by adult kids. As adult kids, they were like, this is the kind of like the dream letter that I wish that I could receive from a parent that would make me, at least open the door to a conversation. Not exaggerating. Hundreds and hundreds of adult kids have overlooked this letter. We've tweaked it, and it's really powerful. It's not a guarantee, but it extends an invitation. So if you want that letter, if you want that format, you can join estrangement.com. Just go to that website, and would love to go on a journey with you. It's a whole group with parents and adult kids, not from the same families, but both demographics, like just trying to heal together, heal not just the relationship but themselves. So You should join. It's only open for a couple more weeks. We're going to close it down soon. All right, any last thoughts before we sign off for today? I'm answering a question. Your video quality is great. Thanks. Do you need an editor? Nope. Yeah, that's good, Echo Star. Yeah, that's great. Do I hug my mom if she begs for a hug, but I don't feel comfortable? Why don't you feel comfortable? Figure that out. You can not hug your mom. You're fine. But figure that out. Okay, Instagram. How we doing before we sign off? Any encouragement for young adults trying to avoid estrangement? Be honest about some of the issues that you have with your parents earlier. I think estrangement is a symptom of a larger problem, not the problem itself. Estrangement means that there's a disconnection. There's a space where someone feels like they're not being seen, heard, valued, their issues not being taken seriously. And so I'm always like a big proponent of like, don't just grit your teeth and try to push through it. Don't just try to, we often do so with really good narratives, like I'm gonna try to be understanding, I'm gonna be empathetic, I'm gonna try to be the bigger person, take the high road, and I'm like, well, hold on. Don't just avoid the conflict. Have the conflict. The conflict could save the relationship. Speak what you're feeling. Because sometimes people surprise you. So that's my encouragement for adult kids. And you deserve healing. Sweet. Okay. Thank you all for being here. It makes me happy. I love just being connected to you all, and as promised, I'm going to open this plate. If you remember, at the very beginning of this episode, I captured a creature in this thing. It's a pest, a dangerous pest. I put it in these plates and I kept it off to the side just to feel the rush of being so close to danger. Ready to see what it is? Can you see it? There it is. It's a wasp. Hey, fella. You don't seem so dangerous. He wasn't buzzing around or nervous or mad. Ooh. I think I'll let him outside. I think I'll let him go. That scared me. Here, you can see him. All right. I'm going to scoop him up. He looks a little drunk. I'm going to put him outside. Hope you're all doing well. Have a wonderful new year. And I'll see you on Tuesday. I do these lives every Tuesday and Thursday. So I'll see you then. Bye for now, everybody. See ya.